I think some of the unrest that we're seeing now was because there was an indication that we would see a relaxing of the policy. About 2 weeks ago, there was this 20-point plan to try to be more efficient with COVID restriction measures. And almost immediately after some of those measures were implemented, they were dialed back. So there are many levels of frustration now. I would also point out that we're heading into our fourth winter with COVID in China, whereas the rest of the world kind of was hit with the waves of the virus later. In early 2020, we were already seeing, the tragedy unfold in Wuhan with the first waves and really the only serious waves of death in China. So I think it's very difficult to see that we're going to see a real change from the leadership at the moment. I think one of the more complicated pieces, too, is, state media calls Xi Jinping the commander-in-chief of the people's war against the virus. So the policy is very much linked to him personally. And, as Sam just pointed out, the protests have largely been sparked because people's growing frustration with the limitations imposed upon them. And really, everybody has a reason to be angry. It doesn't matter whether you're a factory worker, a wealthy parent in a hip suburb of Shanghai, or a student. Your lives have been disrupted by these policies, but it spills over into sort of some political concerns because of the association with the policy of Xi Jinping. So we don't think that there's going to be a real shift anytime soon. Frankly, China has kind of painted itself into a corner to some extent. China's response to the outbreak initially, to the pandemic, was very efficient. It controlled the virus more quickly and more efficiently than anyone else in any other country. But then it really wasted or squandered time because the vaccination campaigns were not sufficient to bring the population to the level of vaccination needed for relaxation. And they continue to rely on lockdown and testing. And with Omicron and the subvariants, that's just clearly a losing battle.